Chang'an was the richest city on earth, until fear opened its gates. In 755, a celebrated frontier commander named Lushan turned his armies toward the Tang dynasty. China's golden age began to crack. This is the Lushan rebellion, the revolt that shattered Tang China. For decades, the Tang dynasty looked unstoppable. Chang'an was a global metropolis where officials, poets, merchants, monks, and foreign envoys mixed. Silken ideas moved along routes that linked Central Asia to the heartland. The court sponsored art and music, and the empire's borders stretched wide. Yet beneath the brilliance, the state was quietly changing. Power was shifting away from the capital and into the hands of military governors called jidoshi. These frontier commanders controlled professional armies and vast tax bases. Emperor Xuanzong presided over this world, remembered for prosperity and culture, but also for a court that grew insulated. The capital relied on distant commanders to defend borders and manage crises. Over time, some commanders became powerful enough to negotiate with the court instead of obeying it. In a stable system, the center can enforce rules. In a fragile system, the center learns to tolerate autonomy because it fears losing the army it depends on. And Lushan rose inside that fragile bargain. He was a frontier general in the northeast, commanding forces in strategically vital regions. He cultivated an image of loyalty and competence, and he learned how court politics worked: gifts, patronage, rumor, and timing. He visited Chang'an, entertained elites, and won trust at the highest level. The danger was not that he was unknown. The danger was that he was trusted. Court rivalry sharpened everything. One of the most powerful ministers, Yang Gozhong, became an Lushan's political enemy. Factions formed, accusations multiplied, and Lushan claimed he was threatened, that rivals wanted to destroy him. Yang Gozhong believed Lushan was too strong to be safe. In empires, factional conflict can be survivable when institutions are strong. When institutions are weak, factional conflict turns into a countdown because each side believes it must strike before it is removed. Late in 755, Lushan moved first. He marched south with a large force and announced that he was acting to cleanse the government of corruption. This framing mattered. It offered officials and local elites a justification to cooperate without admitting treason. In periods of collapse, people do not only choose the winner, they choose the story that lets them survive after choosing. The first great shock was Luoyang, a major city and former capital. When Luoyang fell to the rebels, the crisis became undeniable. The rebellion was no longer a frontier disturbance, it was a direct challenge to the dynasty's core. News traveled faster than armies, roads disrupted, supplies seized, families leaving their homes, and local administrators hesitating, unsure which side would prevail. Even without decisive battles, uncertainty itself becomes a weapon. It freezes decision-making, delays mobilization, and encourages fence-sitting. In 756, the pressure reached Chang'an. The capital's confidence collapsed into panic. Officials argued over strategy while households fled. Then Emperor Xuanzong made a decision that defined the Tang's psychological breaking point. He left the capital. The imperial entourage moved southwest toward safer terrain. To the public, the departure felt like a confession. If the Son of Heaven could not remain in Chang'an, then what did the mandate mean in practice? During this flight, internal trust snapped. Soldiers and attendants blamed court figures for the catastrophe. At Mayway, anger exploded into a political rupture. The court was forced to remove key officials, and the emperor suffered a deeply personal loss that later generations remembered as a symbol of the dynasty's humiliation. The details became legend, but the larger point is clear. Once an empire begins to flee, fear turns inward, and the greatest threat can become the breakdown of unity. After the court left, rebels entered Chang'an, but holding a capital is not the same as controlling an empire. The rebellion spread through shifting coalitions, local calculations, and competing commanders. Some joined the rebels for opportunity. Some remained loyal to the Tang. Many simply tried to protect their own districts, storehouses, and families. The war became a contest of endurance and legitimacy, not a single decisive clash. The Tang response required drastic choices. Xuanzong's son reorganized the court and became Emperor Suzong, seeking to rebuild authority. Attempts also sought help from powerful frontier allies, including forces from the steppe in Central Asia. This alliance was practical, but it carried a long-term cost. Survival now depended on empowering military actors whose loyalty was conditional. To defeat a rebellion led by a jidoshi-style commander, the dynasty had to lean even harder on jidoshi power. Meanwhile, the rebellion itself fractured, and Lushan's leadership deteriorated, and in 757 he was removed by his own inner circle. Control passed first to his son Anshingshu, then to the commander Shi Siming, and later to Shi Siming's son Shi Chaoyi. Each transition revealed the rebellion's true structure. It was not a unified revolution with stable institutions. It was an armed network held together by fear, rewards, and momentum. When leadership weakens, loyalty evaporates. By the early 760s, Tang forces retook Chang'an and Luoyang, but the empire that returned was not the empire that had fallen. The capital could be restored, yet the state's strength had been drained. Administrations were disrupted, tax systems collapsed, and populations were displaced. Local elites fortified their autonomy. Military governors who had been given emergency authority kept it afterward, turning provinces into semi-independent power centers. The center still issued decrees, but now it had to bargain for compliance. This is why the Lushan rebellion shattered Tang's China. It broke the illusion that the capital could always impose order. Before 755, the Tangs projected confidence outward. After the rebellion, power became negotiated, local, and often backed by private armies. The dynasty survived on paper, but its peak was gone. The Golden Age became a before, and everything after felt like recovery, compromise, and caution. The cultural memory captured that fracture. Writers described ruined avenues, empty markets, and officials who no longer knew whom to trust. The rebellion became a warning about complacency and unchecked power at the frontier. It also became a lesson about incentives. When officials believe the system cannot protect them, they hedge, switch sides, or delay action, and that hesitation accelerates collapse. How many people suffered? Records are incomplete. What is certain is that the rebellion devastated the Tang state and reshaped China's political landscape for generations. The most reliable takeaway is not a single number, but a structural change. The dynasty could not fully reverse the empowerment of regional military governors, and future emperors had to rule a more fragmented realm. The rebellion also reveals a timeless risk. Empires often outsource security to commanders far from the capital. It works until the commander decides that the center is weak, divided, or distracted. Lushan was not unstoppable. He was opportunistic in a system that had made opportunity possible. The rebellion succeeded early because the Tangs had become dependent on men like him, and dependency is vulnerability. So picture the critical moments: Luoyang falling and confidence dissolving, Chang'an gripped by panic, the emperor leaving the capital, the court splintering under fear, and the dynasty rebuilding only by granting more power to military leaders. Even after the Tangs regained its cities, the political map had changed. The empire had learned that the center could be shaken, and regional strongmen had learned they could demand more. That is the real legacy of the Lushan rebellion. It did not end the Tang dynasty immediately. It ended the Tang's unquestioned supremacy. It transformed China's governance from centralized certainty into negotiated survival, and it left a lesson that echoes through history. When the people with armies stop fearing the capital becomes just another city. If you were an official in Chang'an in 756, hearing that Luoyang had fallen and the court was divided, what would you choose? Loyalty to a wounded dynasty, or alignment with a force that looked unstoppable in the moment? What would you do?